My ex-husband who cheated on me with my sister emailed me after 6 years. I female met my ex-husband Dan almost 15 years ago at a restaurant when I was celebrating my 18th birthday. He was really nice, charming amateur. He made me feel loved and special. For some context, I grew up in a dysfunctional family. My mom and dad used to always fight. My dad would sometimes go out and not come back for months. He died when my sister Abby was born. My mom was way too fond of Abby since birth, rather than me. Abby was basically babied by my mother. She didn't neglect me at all and always did her best as a mother and provided for me, but I always felt something missing. After Dan came into my life, I didn't feel like there was anything missing. He supported me, he took care of me, he would always buy me gifts and take me out on long drives. I felt complete when I was with him. We got married after 4 years. I wanted to start a family right away, but Dan encouraged me to do my master's and help me build my career first. He wanted us to be in a stable position financially before we start thinking about kids seriously. He was the best guy I could ever ask for. After 5 years of being happily married, I discovered that my husband was cheating on me with Abby. I discovered the affair when my husband made an excuse that he'll go out of town for a week, but he stayed in town and he booked a hotel room where he and Abby can have sex. This has been going on for 6 months behind my back. I was really devastated. Abby and I were close growing up. I loved her and I cared for her. How could she do this to me? After the D-Day, Dan and I had a fight, and I asked how he could do this to me with my sister who just turned 19. He said he didn't love me anymore, that I don't give him enough attention, that I'm not the same girl he fell in love with. Between this mess, I discovered that I was pregnant, but due to the stress, I lost the baby. He didn't even care to visit me at the hospital when I lost our child. He was having a weekend getaway with my sister. I should have seen the signs. Abby would always be really touchy with Dan. Dan would always stare at her, but it was still very disturbing for me. My mother, as usual, took Abby's side and told me to just make peace with it. I wanted to end my life because I had no one left. I lost my child and my husband, my whole family. Then my best friend Tina, my savior, came to my rescue. She was moving to another state and asked me to come with her. I said yes. I was already divorced at that point, and we lived in a small town, so I would obviously run into my ex and my sister. It took me a little while to settle into my new life in a different state, but I met some kind people there. It helped me heal my trauma. I still have trust issues. I met my now husband, Tony. After 1 year of moving to the new place, I was really hesitant and kept my guard up. But he showed me that he is trustworthy and loves me a lot. I was so happy with him that I almost forgot about the life that I had back in my hometown. His parents were really welcoming and generous people. We got married a year ago, and I'm now pregnant with our first child. Yesterday I got an email from my ex Dan. It just brought back all the memories. I'm just paraphrasing his email, but he mentioned that he misses me. He tried to find me but couldn't. He's very miserable with my sister that she's dumb and doesn't care about him like I do. I used to bake him a cake and throw him birthday parties, but Abby only texted him happy birthday and didn't even bother to buy him a cake. Plus, she's very rude and she doesn't respect him. She's always at the bar with her friends. He also mentioned that she cheated on him 5 times. The last affair was with his cousin. Our mother doesn't stop her. He will soon file for divorce, but lately he's been missing me a lot. He wants us to try again. As a couple, he wants us to become a family just like before. Since I do not have social media except for Instagram, which is private, he probably doesn't know that I'm married. And I have a baby on the way. I just don't know if I should feel pity for him or just laugh because the grass on his side is very brown rather than green. Am I the asshole for telling my sister she's ridiculous for divorcing her husband over a TikTok prank? My 24 male sister, 32 female, was married to a guy, 35 male, for 3 years, until they separated 2 months ago over a TikTok prank he pulled. Although none of our family cares about social media, I've always thought of her husband as nice, funny man. It's great to be in his company, and I therefore think the divorce is ridiculous over something that was no more than a mistake to give an account of what happened. My brother-in-law, who is involved in TikTok, pulled a prank on my sister's 15 male son. Prank culminated in my nephew falling over and banging his head, which is why she separated from him. He had to be rushed to the hospital where he underwent treatment, and now he has brain damage. He now needs help eating due to impaired motor control, has limited speech. If you ask him something, he'll stare at you until my sister gets on her knees to ask him calmly what he needs, is easily irritable. And when I look at him, all I can see is his 7-year-old self masquerading in a 15-year-old's body. Now these symptoms are likely permanent and are of course awful. But it was a mistake on behalf of the husband. I believe that divorce is way too harsh for a mistake, and instead they should have negotiated boundaries and disallowed TikTok in the house or something. Her husband was the only one who used it. I've tried to keep my dislike of the divorce decisions to myself, because I'm secretly mourning the loss of my brother-in-law. We watched football together and everything. However, when discussing the incident with her yesterday, I told her that she was absolutely ridiculous for divorcing her husband over something that is essentially a mistake, and that she should reconsider her options considering the first one was clearly emotionally driven. My sister told me that I'm free to marry him, and my mother also interjected and, despite liking my brother-in-law, before told me that I have no say in my sister's life, and told me that my precious brother-in-law ruined my nephew's life with his incompetence. I yelled at them and told them that society's inability to forgive mistakes is the reason why we're in this mess, and they eventually kicked me out when the argument ensued for 10 minutes longer. I thought I was being reasonable, however, my girlfriend is also on their side. Am I the asshole?